Hello and welcome to another video. The bike behind me is the Coleman Ct200UEX. I've had this bike for about 2.5 to 3 years. Would I recommend this? Yes. Let's get into why. Reason number one, their versatility. I've used this bike just for riding, pulling logs, and getting me places where I couldn't walk. This bike is great for if you have farms or trails that you are riding on and muddy places. The traction on these are great. Reason number two, they're very moddable. You don't have to modify it, it's amazing stock, but if you want to learn how to do small engines and just learn how a combustion engine works, this is great for you or your kid. This is a great way to start, and it doesn't break the bank. Reason number three, it's very easy to fix. Like with the last statement, this bike is very easy for any repairs or modifications. Compared to something like an ATV or some dirt bikes where they can get very expensive repairs, these repairs are pretty cheap. Some of the needed repairs I've had to do over these 3 years are replacing the main chain, replacing the jack shaft, and replacing the clutch. Very simple repairs, and they're all on one side. Reason number four, they're very easy to ride. Some dirt bikes and other motorcycles can take a while to get used to, and you don't need a license to ride these. Very good for first time or beginners. And even if you are immediate to advanced riders, you can still have plenty of fun. I've been riding for probably 10 years now, and I've been having a blast on my bike. Reason number five, they're suitable for all ages. If you're 16 to 60, you can have fun on this bike. It's not just made for kids. Some of the smaller versions or other bikes from other companies are recommended for 13, 14-year-olds. I'm a pretty big person. This bike has been able to get me places without any trouble. Will it be easier if you're lighter? Yes, but this thing has no problem. Let's go over some of the modifications I've done. This bike is pretty much stock. The only things I've done is what you pretty much would call a stage 1 kit. I haven't touched carburetors or governors. The repairs I've done to this, I've put a Predator 212 engine in here. You can get them at Harbor Freight for around $150. Not too much compared to what normal other engines would be for such like a dirt bike. I've put a 60-tooth sprocket on the back that reduces top end speed but gives me more torque. The property I'm on has a very big hill, and the bottom part in the forest where I usually am riding this is at the bottom of the hill. So a lot of water will run down here and get pretty muddy. This thing can get me through here without any trouble. Let's talk some specs. The engines that come in these stock are 4-stroke, meaning there's a separate gas and oil reservoir. Unlike a 2-stroke engine, you don't need to do any mixing or ratios of gas and oil. It's pretty much pour and play. From my experience, these things have run weeks without needing to refill gas. This is about a gallon or a half a gallon tank. This is the Predator 212, like I said before. The stock is very similar. Another benefit is their just overall price point. Yes, due to inflation, they have gone up to around $800. I used to see them around $500, but still, to get this much fun and power for that price point is very good. Other models like dirt bikes or other mini bikes can be $1,000 plus. For the price point for how much you get in one package is very easy. Right out the box, depending on the model, you just have to put a front tire on, put oil and gas in, and you go. My model had come stock with a headlight, and it worked great with the original motor. However, with the 212, you would need to do some modifications for that to still work, but I find I wasn't riding very much at dark. With anything, there's gonna be pros and cons. Nothing's perfect. Number one, the stock engines that come in these are pretty cheap. If you take good care of them and maintenance them, they will last you a long time, but if you don't and you just let it run, they will have issues. That's why I replaced mine. But my stock engine lasted me 2 years of very intense riding. Number two, the brakes that come on these. It is a rear drum brake. Disc brakes or hydraulic brakes are gonna be all out better. They're okay, but if you're a heavier person, you might have a hard time stopping going downhill. It will stop, but you might wear your brakes out more. Number three, the suspension. Some other models have rear and front suspension. Mine doesn't. There's a new Coleman bike that comes out with full suspension and disc brakes, which I would recommend you getting. A full suspension kit would be great for one of these. If you're getting the Ct200U, that has no suspension, so that could be a rough ride. If you're just riding on the streets, that could be okay for you. But someone who's riding the trails might want the full suspension model of this. I can link it down below. Some things to note is when this comes out of the box, make sure you tighten every single bolt. I know that sounds like, oh, it's tedious, I'm gonna be fine, but trust me, some of the factory bolts can be loose out of the box, and you don't want to be riding and have something fail. That can be very bad and lead to injury. If you're riding these constantly, make sure you check the oil. I did it in my first engine, and that had caused some problems because I pretty much had no engine left. I've learned my lesson, and now I check mine after every month. My bike has a modified exhaust. It's just this little one I got off Amazon for about $15. If you get a longer exhaust, there can be some more power benefits from it. I put mine on there mainly for airflow to the engine, for better longevity, and also sound. Who doesn't want their mini bike to sound cool? It is not a needed modification. The stock exhaust is perfectly fine for whatever application you're using it for, but if you are riding around neighborhoods or in a city, I would recommend keeping the stock exhaust on, because this one can get pretty loud. Do it at your own risk. Let's do some riding. As you can tell, this thing is crazy fun because we've had snow for the past 2 weeks and it keeps melting and then freezing and then rain. It's very slushy out, so I was spinning a lot, so I apologize about that, but I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, please. It helps a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.